Yes, y'all. It is your boy, T-Tail. Conversations of the Heart. Man, oh man, gotta speak to my brother Joel, the money man, the finance coach. Mel, what up? It's gonna be a good conversation. I'm looking forward to it. It's Financial Literacy Month, so we're gonna get the best in the business to come talk to us. Check that. Here he is right now. Yo,
You said best in the business? Don't be lying to these people.
I gotta listen. There's one thing that people know about me is that I'm honest with the people. I'm all the way honest with the people. And when I say the best in the business, they know I ain't lying.
It's,
That's a fact.
it's a lot of pressure, bro. So, let me stick my
It ain't
chest
not,
out. It's a lot of pressure out here. I like it. Let's do it.
take your flowers while you can get them, bro, because that's a real thing.
I appreciate
Um,
it.
Happy Financial Literacy Month.
Hell
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Um, so I want to have this conversation. I kind of want to revisit, you know, when we first did this thing, we were in the middle of a pandemic, and we still are, but
Yep.
it was just the beginning of us kind of building. And now that I got a few more followers, just a few, and now that you done popped off, I mean, the YouTube, Debt Freak, like you on another level. You know what I'm saying? So, um, it's come full circle from when we first started this whole thing, man. So I kind of want our new listeners to kind of get to know you, kind of revisit some of you know, the pillars and things like that you have,
Mhm.
and go forward. But first, man, I just want to say, man, cheers to you and all of your success.
See my cup?
Um,
See the cup?
oh yes, sir, yes, sir,
See the cup?
yes, sir. I got it. I got this. Okay, cool. Yo, Mel said, look at those books in both your backgrounds. Yeah, man. Yo, we definitely be reading. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Um, so Financial Literacy Month. So I want to start with the three pillars for you of financial success, and I just want you to kind of explain that again and revisit that because I thought it was super important and super dope.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things, so full disclosure to everybody, I am not the one who made up this 70-30 rule. It was actually done
Mm-hmm.
by Jim Rome. I read a book from him the other day, or a while ago, that he explained the 70-30 rule. But the 70-30 rule means that you live on 70% of what you make, and the other 30% you allocate a proper way. The whole point of the 70-30 rule is this: that a part of all that you earn is yours to keep. You make yourself a priority in life. That is the whole point of the 70-30 rule. So you live on 70% of what you make, and the other 30 you can break up into tens. So you have three individual buckets. On a high level, it's your savings. Another bucket is going to be your investments. And the third bucket, where I always lose everybody, is charity, right?
Right.
So you start off with your savings. So let's do this from like a numerical standpoint. Let's say after taxes, you make $4,000 a year. I mean, sorry, $4,000 a month, right? So when you make
Mm-hmm.
$4,000 a month, that means that 70% of that is $2,800. That means you try to live on $2,800. The
Mm-hmm.
1,200 that's left over, you can break up evenly into threes. That's 400 a bucket, right?
Right.
So the first bucket, you take $400 every month, right? And you put that into your savings. Now, why do you do that? Your savings is where you preserve your wealth. That's not where you invest it, right? That's where you preserve
Mm-hmm.
your wealth. That's where you make sure when Murphy's Law comes around, you protect yourself, right? That's where you make sure you have 6 to 9 months of expenses, or 3 to 6 months of expenses, or whatever everybody tells you. But that's where you need to make sure you preserve your wealth, right? That's when major expenditures become minor inconveniences, right? The second bucket, the other 400, you'd put into your investing. See, your investing bucket, that's the one that gets everybody's eyes open, right? That's when
Mm-hmm.
everybody going, because that's where
Mm-hmm.
your money makes you money. Now, your investing bucket is different. Your investing bucket doesn't have to just be stocks, right? It could be anything that accumulates more money for you. So houses, a lot of people like to go into real estate. A lot of people like to go into stocks. A lot of people like to go into loans. Some of you have personal businesses. right, that you have. So you can put $400 into your business. That's what that
Mm-hmm.
second pillar is for. The second pillar is to grow your money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's a quick caveat for everybody. Make sure that your savings bucket and your investing bucket are two different buckets. You do
Mm-hmm.
not use your savings to invest. I'm going to say it again for everybody. You do not use your savings to invest. Your savings is not there to be invested. It's there to preserve your wealth. Your investing bucket is where you actually grow your wealth. The last one is charity. Now, I'm a full proponent of this. We talked about this damn near the first time we ever did this. I said, my
Mm-hmm.
purpose in life is to educate minorities, specifically black people, on how to be better with their money so that they can be charitable,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
The charity part is where we can help each other, right? It forces you to do two things. First of all, it forces you to not think about yourself. Okay? We live in this world for maybe 60, 70, 80 years and then we're gone. But we need to have an impact on each other, specifically as black people. So
Mm-hmm.
it's my opinion that that money should be able to go to somebody to help someone. Doesn't necessarily mean church, right? It's
Right.
agnostic of church. I'm religious, but at the end of the day, it can go
Mm-hmm.
to anybody, your family, your friends, or whoever. But
Mm-hmm.
that money is where you use the money to help other people. That is the whole objective of it. That is the reason why you have that bucket. Now, the second reason why you do it, it forces you to budget. Because now that you're departing with money that you're not going to do anything with except help somebody else, you need to know what you're going to do with the other part of the money. So that's the
Mm.
whole point. 70-30 means you live on 70% of what you make. The other 30%, savings, investing, and most importantly, charity.
Mm. And that's dope, man, because I'm big on the charity. I'm big on helping others. And the one thing that I know the last time you said too was that also, yes, like different charities that you have in church and things like that, but also you might could help somebody's business. You might could invest in your friend's business, right? You know, um, or pay a bill for them,
Yep.
or do something like that that directly impacts their life,
Yep.
right? Or they might have kids, and you might say, hey, put this in your kid's college fund or whatever fund that you have for them, right?
Right.
Um, so those are things that I thought that was definitely dope. What did Mel say? Mel said, I read The Blessed Life by Robert Morris and started tithing as my first fruits. It's been a game changer. I give God my first 10% and he blesses the other 90 consistently. Dope. Dope,
Yeah.
dope.
I mean, if you think about it, it's been historically documented how much
Mm-hmm.
charity can help with your budget. It's not a coincidence to everybody. When you read autobiographies of people who become incredibly rich, right?
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly wealthy, I should say, because rich is different. Rich can come today and leave tomorrow, but wealth is
Yep.
sustained over time. The people
Mm-hmm.
who become wealthy always have a discussion about charity. Every last one of them. And the reason why is because you get what you put out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You actually get what you put out as it pertains to your wealth. So when you give money, you get money. I can't explain it. It's not some hodgepodge, but
Right.
that's what happens. When you give money, you get money. And one of the things
Mm-hmm.
I always loved about the charity bucket in particular is that as you're getting your money right, you get to help somebody else do the same. And what do you think is going to happen to them as you're helping them? They're going to want to do the same thing for somebody else. You see, too
Right.
many times, I think we as a culture, we as black people, wait on the government to help us when that's
Mm-hmm.
not the case. Look at all the nonsense they did with the stimulus checks, right?
Right.
I mean, they told us they were going to give us the stimulus checks since November. It was or March when they did that. That was 5 months later. And you were
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the government to help you. We can help each other immediately versus waiting for the government to do it. So, like I said, for me, it's always going to come down to savings, investing, and charity. But don't forget the charity part because that's as important as any financial decision you make. I'm going to say it one more time so everybody can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Being charitable is as important as any financial investment, savings, house, whatever decision you make. It's as important.
Dope. Shout out to DJ Teddy Grams. Shout out to an incredible educator. Lenny on the check in. Appreciate you, bro. So let's talk about strategy. So somebody says, Joel, I hear you. 70-30. I hear what you're saying to me,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm in debt. You know what I'm saying? I can't afford to do that. Can you help me what are some of the strategies that can help me to pay off debt so that I can be more charitable?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing you need to do is be on a budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the scary boogie word that everybody doesn't like to hear. You need to be on a budget. I don't care if it's on Excel, on Word, on paper. I don't care what it is, but you need to be on a budget. The misconception about a budget is that somehow it's restrictive. What people don't realize, and I can lean in when I say this, a budget creates freedom
Mm-hmm.
because you start to tell your money what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of times we let the money tell us what to do. We tell the money to feel anxiety. We let the money tell us the depression. We let the money tell us the loneliness. But we don't ever tell the money what to do. That's what a budget is. So that's the first thing I would say is to do a budget. Because you know what happens? A lot of times
Mm-hmm.
when people go on a budget, they start to realize they're overspending in something. The same people who say, damn, man, I got mad debt. I'm always like, are the same people who go out every weekend and balling out of control at a brunch. Those are the same people who got 2 gym memberships and never go. Those are the same people who like spend frivolously on Amazon. I've helped people where their budget, where they put money away in savings every single time, and then randomly out of nowhere, they're spending
Mm-hmm.
money on Amazon and not saving, and they wonder why it's not accumulating. So the first
Mm-hmm.
thing you need to do is get on a budget immediately. I don't care if you make over $100,000 a year. I don't care if you make 50 or less. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be on a budget because you need to tell your money where it's supposed to go before your money tells you where you're supposed to stay.
Can you repeat that? That was a good one. That was a quotable, actually. Go ahead.
You need to
I
tell,
want to hear that one again.
yeah, you need to tell your money where to go before your money tells you where to stay.
Jeez, Christ. So we're gonna just leave it right there, brother.
I
All
mean,
right.
think about it. Think about it. Your money tells you where to stay. Your money tells you
It
what
does.
you can't afford. Your money tells you where you can't go on vacation. Your money
Mm-hmm.
tells you when you can't buy your girlfriend, your wife, your fiance what you want because it's restricting you. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for us to make sure we tell our money what to do. Your money
Mm-hmm.
is your worker and it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it doesn't have a holiday or Christmas or anything. So put
Mm-hmm.
that dollar to work.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Paul, man. Bracketville Books, man. He got some amazing books for kids, man. Shout out to him, bro.
Nice, nice.
Um, yeah, man. Bet. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, um, just now. The depression,
Yes.
the anxiety,
Yeah.
the mental health part of this whole thing, right?
Yep.
Like, talk to us a little bit about how, like, your money, your financial situation affects your mental health, your emotional health, and everything. Like, how does it affect that?
Sure. So I did some research before this, right? When we was talking earlier, even yesterday, where I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what things we can talk about from a mental health standpoint as it pertains to your money. The
Mm-hmm.
first one I'm going to talk about is the loop. Okay. The first thing is this. If you have poor mental habits, right? Poor mental health, I should say, that's going to probably mean that you're going to have bad financial money management, right? So that's the top of the spear, right? Or the cycle. At the bottom of the cycle means that your bad money habits are going to lead to your poor mental health. And the cycle just goes round and round and round and round and round. The problem is that your mental health has an immediate impact on the way that you handle money. Let's take anxiety, for example, okay? Do you know how many people still don't know their credit score or their credit history? It's not
That's a
because
fact.
it's not because they're idiots. It's not because that they're being, inconsiderate or they're not trying to be an adult. It's because opening the credit score gives them anxiety to the point where they break down, to the point where they cry, to the point where they feel that their heart is coming out of their chest. I've seen this in person. Okay? That's anxiety because people are afraid to deal with it. See, what they do when they have money issues is push it to the corner and they ignore it. The same people that are in the club with you popping bottles and having fun and doing all this type of stuff are the same people who go home at night at 3 o'clock in the morning and wonder what the hell they're going to do with their money. Right? So that's
Mm.
anxiety. Anybody who's ever dealt with depression, right? Think about what depression does to you. Depression basically says, I don't want to do nothing today. I don't feel good. I don't want to, I'm done with everything. And you mean to tell me that now that someone on depression is going to try to think about how to do their finances? No,
Right.
not even close, right? How about, here's my favorite. Think about loneliness for a second. This one irked me when I looked this one up.
Mm.
Isolation. Imagine someone who decided that they're going to get their money right. They are going to decide to make their money right. They're going to get out of debt. They're going to be on the budget. They're going to do what they need to do in terms of expenses. They have decided. And what are we supposed to do? Clap for them. But birds of a feather flock together. We learned that since high school. The same person who decided to get their money right is the same person who's laughed, ridiculed, and made fun of by their friends because their friends haven't made that decision. You see, when you get your money right, you have to tell your friends, I have to stay home. I can't go to Vegas. I can't do this, can't do that. They make fun of you. They laugh at you. They ridicule you. They push you to the side. They kick you out the chats because they know you're going to say no. What does that do to somebody's mental health? Right? What does it do to them? Right? It puts them in a bad place. So what you have to understand is that money is more about behavior than it is about mathematics at the end of the day. If you don't have your mental health right, you're going to have a lot of problems. Like I got a bunch of statistics over here that when you look at it, it's insane.
And you made a good point about that, man, because when you are depressed, when you are going through things, because life happens to everybody. Life happens. Life is happening to everybody at some point. People are dealing with loss of income, deaths in the, especially now, deaths in the family, people losing their mother, their grandmother, their father, like all in the same, within the same year span, right? And you're right. And when your money's not right, and when you're going through these things, the last thing you want to do is talk about budgets, finances, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's going to add an extra layer probably of depression if it's not right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and we live in a society to where now, especially with, social media. And I mean, look, this happened way before social media too.
Yep.
But people do ridicule you, you know what I'm saying? From keeping up, you know what I'm saying, with everybody else, with, you know what I'm saying, with just saying, hey, I can't do this. Oh, he's broke.
Yep.
Especially for men, right? Women's a little different, right? But especially for men though, because it's more like, yo, he's broke. He ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be balling with us.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because we gotta pop the bottles in the club, right?
Yep.
To do what? To get the girls' attention, right?
Yeah. Think about this.
And
think about this, right? So to all the women that are watching, I'm gonna give you guys a secret, and don't ever use it, and don't ever send this back to me as far as I'm concerned. You
or me. Hey.
Yeah, seriously, stop. But pay attention to what I'm gonna say. You want to insult a man, you do it two different ways. Okay? The first one is that you tell him that he's broke. The second one is telling him his sex is trash. That's how you get to a man. Notice how I said broke first. I didn't say sex, I said broke. You see, when you tell a man that he's broke, you're basically emasculating that person.
Right.
Broke is subjective, by the way, right? The majority of us are broke. But for some reason, when you tell someone that they're broke, when you look at the English language, the synonyms are down and out and hard up and all this type of crap that they say. When you say that someone is broke from where we're from, you're disrespecting their manhood. So it's a difference when it comes to mental health, especially among men. See, women are a little bit different.
A little bit, yeah.
What I realized with women in particular is that they have the right temperament. The most of the time, they have the right temperament as it pertains to actually managing money. Because for some reason, they can separate the pride and the ego and all this type of stuff. But when it comes to men, it's rough, bro.
Well, it's true. But when it comes to women, though, too, it's like there's always the stigma with men of what we have to do. Right?
Yep.
And not saying that women don't. But it's like when it comes to dates and stuff like that, who pays? The guy, I have to do that, right? And then they tell you if you broke, then don't date, right? All that type of stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing, right? So it's a different level of responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And the bravado that comes with us, because it's like you're the provider. You got to take us on the dates. You got to do this. You got to show out for us in the club. You got to and it's like, oh shit, all right, well, I got money over here for the dates. I got money over here for the bottles. I got money over here for this. And then you're sitting here like, well, goddamn, like I ain't got nothing left for me,
Yeah.
right?
And yeah.
While she is like this, I'm good. I got money's in my checking account, money's over here. I'm good. Like she's holding on to, she's saving it because
Yeah.
that's just the natural way that things are,
Yeah.
right? So that's where a lot of that mentality comes from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is understood, right? But and then so that comes along with the whole pressure of, man, like I can't look broke or I shouldn't act broke, man. Even if I don't got it, I still got to front like I got it because if I don't, she's gonna call me out. My boys are gonna call me out, and now it's just now I feel less than.
Think
I
about
feel
it.
less than.
Think about that, right? Think about what you just said. The
Mm-hmm.
perception of looking broke.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you,
Mm-hmm.
all of y'all are broke, but the perception of looking broke scares people. The perception,
Mm-hmm.
the mere perception of looking broke will cause somebody anxiety, depression, loneliness, all the 9 yards, keeping up with the Joneses, for example, right? Until you turn
Mm-hmm.
around and realize the Joneses are broke, right? You're keeping up with a facade, you're keeping up with a fake life, right? Social media, you mentioned earlier. What does social media do to your money? Do you understand? I have to log off this thing during the day. I have to because it's going to cause so many different emotions. I've never seen so many experts on several subjects in 1 hour in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, especially when it comes to money, right?
Right.
You have the pressure of dealing with the clothes that you wear, the cars that you drive, the house that you have, and this is coming
Mm-hmm.
from someone who's debt free, and there's still pressure.
Talk that talk, bro.
Right? Like, think about how bad that is. Think about someone
Yeah.
I mentioned before. Think about the woman or the guy, for example, the single guy who has a kid and decides they want to get their life right. And then they go on social media and everything they see is everybody's rich and happy. And then when they go
Mm-hmm.
to their apartment and cry for 2 hours because they think that they can't do nothing, this is their mind.
Yep.
This is what they see. I've had people hit me up, friends of mine, frustrated because they're not seeing progress on their finances as quick as they want to be. Here's something, a gem for everybody. It is much quicker to mess up your finances than to get it right. It's much
Mm-hmm.
quicker. Okay, you can
Yep.
mess up your finances tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right? You could just go buy a car you can't afford that you can't pay for every single month, and that's it. That's how you mess up your finances. But look how long it's going to take you. It takes you years. It took you 4 years to build up your student loans. It takes you 30
Mm-hmm.
to pay them off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It's a fact.
I'll tell you a statistic. So, first of all, and this is where it gets a little grim, but first of all, the amount of people who commit suicide every year, when you look at the statistics, they are 8 times more likely to have debt. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, 1 in 15 people who have student loan debt thought about committing suicide because of the debt. Now, when you do the numbers behind it, that's about 6.67 or like 7%. Now, 7% doesn't seem that bad. Let's put this into bigger terms. As of January 1st of 2021, there were 45 million people in this country that have student loan debt. That
Mm-hmm.
equates to $1.7 trillion in debt. Okay? Now, using the number, the percentage I just told you, 6.67 of 45 million is 3 million. So let me put this very clear for everybody. 3 million people in this country have thought about committing suicide because of their student loans.
Mm.
And you wonder why mental health is just as important as anything else as it pertains to your budget
Exactly.
and everything.
Mm. I want. Do you know the breakdown of the percentage of men and women of what that looks like?
No, I could probably get it. We could post something like that, but I can get the
Mm-hmm.
information on it. I mean, when you look at it from demographics, when you look at it from race, it gets worse. When you look at it from age, right? So, for example, the age of severe mental health is. Think about the ages now. It's from 18 to about 29 is the age where most people, who are in that depression category suffer from
Yep.
depression. When you came out
Mm-hmm.
of college, what age were you? About 21. That's when you started to
21.
realize
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this debt is you're accountable for now.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Life comes at you fast too. When you're working at CVS or Walgreens or Foot Action, Foot Locker, whatever, you're making like $8 an hour. I mean, back in the day, right?
yeah,
And you're like, damn, man, like it's a lot of debt I got on me, man. You know what I'm
Think
saying?
about and think about it. You're not able to live the life that you want. You're not able to buy the house that you want, the car that you want. You're not able to do what you want. So what does this country allow you to do? It allows you to dig yourself into a debt
Yep.
grave.
Right. And also it comes down to, oh, a lot of it's what you're taught too. Hey, listen, go to school, go to college by any means necessary.
Yep.
When you come out, you're going to just have it. Right? Not understanding that the jobs, that job market that you're going into, oh, I want to have experience. They want you to have experience.
Yep.
And if you don't have the experience, then we're really going to lowball you. But it's like, yeah, but my student loans is like $450 a month.
If that.
But I only take home like 900 or if 900 a month or whatever the case is. And I got phone this and I got a car note and I got this. It's like at that point, it's like, yo, I have, but my mama told me, my daddy told me that I go to school, come out, everything's going to be all right. Nobody really furthers the conversation, right? It's because there's another level of a conversation that should happen besides that.
Yes.
What happens when you come out? Are you prepared to get a job?
Yes.
First of all, do you even know how to interview for a job? Do you have a resume?
Correct.
Right? And like, do you have experience?
Correct. Yeah.
What are the expectations coming out of school? Because the expectations for a lot of people coming out of school was, I'm gonna be on.
Yeah.
Coming out of school, I'm making a lot of money.
Yep.
I'm gonna be on.
Yep.
But then when you catch the reality of it, it's like, yo,
yep.
First of all, I don't even know if I still want to do this.
Correct. Fact.
And that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? You went to school for one thing, and then you ended up saying, yeah, but I kind of like something else.
Yep. Facts. Now think about it.
And you didn't go to school for that. That's crazy.
Right? So a lot of people go, number one, when you go to school, you usually don't know what you want to major in until 2 years into college. And then usually 2 years into college, when you figure out what you want to major in, it's not the job that you actually have at the time when you come out, right? So a lot of people went into college, let's say, for example, and this is not a knock to anybody, but let's say you go into college and you have a sociology degree or a psychology degree. These people didn't become psychologists, right? They had to take that degree and try kind of figure out where they want to go and how they need to make money. And what they realized is that I'm always a big proponent of getting the degree. I'm always going to be that person.
Right.
But what they don't realize is the return on their investment is going to take a very long time. So if you're paying, for example, $90,000 a year for a job that is never going to get you 90,000, at any time, like it makes no sense. I have friends and people that I know that went to really expensive schools, Columbia, for example. They come out with $150,000 in debt. Their payment every month is the equivalent of my rent. Okay? So you wonder why these people have to sit there and they deal with the struggle and they live a minimalist lifestyle because they can't live any other lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? People make excuses. They make everything under the sun to deal with their debt than to look at the face and say, I made this. I made this mistake. This is on me. But I'm always going to be a big proponent that just because you got yourself in that situation don't mean you can't get yourself out. Right? You can do what you need to do. Just understand that it's going to be a lot harder. You know what's going to happen? The generation behind us is going to know so much about debt, finances, student loan debt, all this type of stuff because we had to go through it. Now, the question is whether or not they do something about it. But like I mentioned to everybody before, there's $1.7 trillion of debt as it pertains to student loans. This is it's a bubble that's going to be a severe problem in the future. I don't know how they're going to handle it. It's going to be an issue.
Well, the one thing I do want to say is, yes, the generation is going to know more about student loan debt and about finances and things like that, but they'll only know it because of people like yourself, people who take the time out to kind of give this information for free. Who cares about the people who cares about all of the generations, ours and the ones that's coming behind us. Yeah. So that's a testament to who you are as a person to come on here and give it away for free. They can go on YouTube, check out your page, and learn a bunch of things that we never learned. So again, man, that's kudos to you, bro. Thank you.
All right,
so I had a question from Mel. She said, what tips can you give towards rebuilding wealth after divorce? My legal debt is sky high. So what's the first steps can I take to reset the foundation?
Number one, go on a budget. Number two, That's the first thing. Number one, go on a budget. Number two, if your mental health is an issue, if you feel like you're just kind of dealing with the fuck, excuse my language, but if you're dealing with the bullshit from, the divorce, and you're having those things, make sure that you get somebody to talk to as part of your mental health, because your mental health is what's going to get you through the third step, which is start attacking your debt. Right? Your budget is going to tell you what you can afford. I'm going to say that again.
Mm-hmm.
Your budget is going to tell you what you can afford. I laugh every single time someone tells me when they go buy a car, the people at the dealership are telling them what they can afford. Like, these people
Mm-hmm.
know their budget, right?
Right.
So the whole point behind it is that you want to make sure that when you're on a budget and that your mental health is here, right? You're leveled and you understood why you did what you had to do. Then you start attacking your debt, right? There's ways that you can pay off your debt, the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, right? But the first thing you need to do is you need to redo the budget, because now you're the only breadwinner in the house, because it's just you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to make sure that you can afford. And this may mean that you need to downsize. It may mean that your life may need to change. You may need to learn the power of no. That what my cousin always told me, right? His favorite word in the English language is no.
What if there's kids involved?
If there's
Like, because that's
yeah,
that's a different layer. Because
yeah,
you can't say, I mean, you can say no to certain things, but once kids are involved, they're expensive.
kids are extremely expensive, but you need to say
Mm-hmm.
no around it,
Right.
right?
Everything around it. Right.
It's gonna be tough for a while. It is, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the thing. I'm a big proponent that you still have to live your life. You still have to live your life. You only get one
Right.
shot at this, from what we know. Until somebody comes back and tells us, "Yo, you can do this again," you only get one chance at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to live your life. But at the end of the day, you made an adult decision. Whether it's the divorce, whether it's student loans, whether it's the car payment, whether it's the house, whether it's the kids, every single one of those decisions was an adult decision.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you have to deal with those issues as an adult, right? So that make sure
Mm-hmm.
you're on a budget. Make sure you look at your finances. Make sure you take care of your kids. Try to live as close as you can to 70-30. If it's 97-1, 1 and 1 for a while, then so be it, right? But what you start to realize is this: the habit is more than the mathematics. Building the habit of paying yourself first, building the habit of saving, building the habit of investing every month, building the habit of being charitable is something that never goes away. So start doing that now, so that when you do get everything out, you can live your life.
Mm. That's powerful. So, everybody, they want to get rich quick. They do the, people day trade. They into investments in stocks and Bitcoin and this and that, all that stuff, right? And there's a place for that, obviously, right? But the one thing that you always talk about is becoming a millionaire through your 401k.
Yes.
And a lot of people might say, dog, come on, you tripping.
Yep.
Like, that's nah. Like, there's got to be a stock. There's got to be investments, whether it be index or day trading, whatever. Like, there's got to be something that can get me to the bag
Yeah.
quick. Because what you're talking about is like 30 years. I don't even know if I'm gonna see 30 years, right? Like you get all those you get all those type of comments and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
So kind of break down for the people just as far as how do you truthfully 401k equals millionaire? How do you break that down?
Sure. I mean, so there's two ways of doing it. Number one is that if you were to read Chris Hogan's book, which is called
Mm-hmm.
Everyday Millionaire. I know he's going through
Mm-hmm.
different things with Dave Ramsey. That's a whole different story. But if you ever
Mm-hmm.
read his book, he surveyed millionaires in this country, about 80% of them. And what he realized is that 80% of the millionaires in this country became millionaires not from flipping houses, not from, buying the first stock, not from the salary that they made. The
Mm-hmm.
majority of people who became millionaires in this country became millionaires strictly through their 401k. Okay, so that's the first example, right? There's the statistics behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the math, right? Let's say, for example, you're 35 years old right now, and you have zero, dono, nada, yen, nothing saved for your retirement. And you wanted to save for your retirement because you were seeing me and Terrence blow a bunch of hot air about retirement. And you wanted to start saving. So what you did was you saved $800 every single month, right? That you put into your retirement, right? Before taxes. And you said, I'm going to do that for the next 30 years, right? You're 35. So 30 years from now, you'll be 65. Hopefully you can retire. Now, 8 times 12 is 96. So let's just say $9,600 every year goes into your retirement for the next 30 years. And let's assume that the market's going to give us a return of about 10%. Matter of fact, 7%. Okay, let's just say it's averaging 7% every year for the last 100 years. Let's just do that. Now, how much do you think you're going to have at 65? Now, you know where this answer is going to go because I'm going to say it's close to $1 million. But let's get even more specific. If I assume, I said $9,600 every year, let's just say 10 grand because I don't have a calculator in front of me. 10 grand times 30 years is roughly $300,000. But I just told you that you're going to be close to $1 million. That means $300,000 produced $700,000. You more than doubled your money, and that is the effect of compound interest.
Compound interest. Right.
People don't realize that.
I think people don't realize that, and they don't want to realize that. I think one, because it's like I just said, it's like that's 30 years. I'm gonna be 65 and be a millionaire. Like, am I gonna be healthy enough to see that? You know, or yes, of course you could pass it down, but what about right now, Joe? What about right now?
Right.
You know, I think that's where I think you see a lot of pushback.
Yeah, because they want to live for today, right? That's what they want to do. You want to live for today, because guess what? My problems consist today.
Right.
Not 30 years from now. It consists today. And
right.
I tell these people, well, your problem consists today because of the decisions you make 10 years ago. So why not thank yourself for tomorrow and start planning ahead? Now, you can flip stocks all day long. You can buy and sell houses all day long. You can do all that. But there's one quote that I always remember. It's the people who have no business risking money who risk money.
Risk money.
Okay? And that's something that people like, you put yourself in this position. Whether we can call it systemic, whatever it is, we could talk about that on a deeper level. But at the end of the day, you made adult decisions to get to this point, right? If we're going to treat each other as an adult. And for some reason, we want to rip the Band-Aid off because we're impatient about money and we just want to fix it tomorrow because we've become accustomed to doing things quickly when it comes with money. If Terrence wanted to go buy a car tomorrow, all he needs to do is go to a dealership, put no money down, sign a couple papers, and you come home with a brand new Benz. Okay? But to pay off that Benz, it's going to take you 7 years.
Right.
Right? So we need to stop living just for today. You can prepare, you can do what you need to do today, but make sure the present self is taking care of the future self, because eventually the future is going to look back at the present and say, what the hell did you do?
Right.
Right? Like at the end of the day, I'm 37 turning 38. Okay? At the end of the day, I can look back at the decisions I made at 28 and say that was a good job. So now when I get to 48, I can say that's what I'm talking about. Right? You need to make sure you're not just living for today, because at the end of the day, I don't know about y'all, but I want to be alive at 65.
Facts.
I don't know about y'all. Like, I still want to be here. So that means I got to prepare myself. And there's this conversation about generational wealth. Right? You can't have generational wealth if you're not trying to build generational wealth. Generational wealth doesn't come from just flipping one stock, man. The shit don't happen like that. It happens once in a while, like it's a blip on the screen, cool, but it's not normal. Wealth is built over time. You can be rich tomorrow. You can be wealthy later. Right? I'm going for the later. I ain't trying to be rich tomorrow. I give you a quote. There's a quote from Jim Rohn that said, if I give you $1 million, you better become a millionaire quickly. Otherwise, you're going to lose the money. What he meant by that was, if I give you $1 million tomorrow, but your mind isn't created for $1 million, you're going to end up giving me all the money right back. That's why people who win the millionaire, the majority of them go broke in 5 years.
Be nice at facts. Stop listening to Roaring Kitty.
Yeah, that's online. So people who sit there and look at all these like stupid ass, I don't want to disrespect them, but like these forums or whatever from random people.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking financial advice from random people. Think about this.
Right.
You work so hard for your money that the first thing you do is go online and take advice from random people who you don't know so that you can make money. Tell me where this makes sense. Tell me where in logic this makes sense. You worked the hours. You didn't see your wife. You didn't see your
Mm-hmm.
kids. You're the one that worked overtime. You're the one that wasn't with your friends. And the first thing you do is take advice from somebody random on the internet? I don't get
Mm-hmm.
it. I don't get it.
Mm. So I've realized, there's certain things that, with you being, of course, debt free and you've been doing this a long time. I noticed that you sometimes like you don't really give people too much advice about like stocks and
Now,
what to invest in.
mhm.
What you do is give them a plan
Yes.
to how to get out of their situation so that they can invest in whatever they choose to
Yes.
invest in and to create a better life for them. And that's what I think is so dope about you is because you could tell them what to invest in. I mean, I know your investment portfolio is kind of crazy. um, and so, but you could, but that's not really the goal. The goal is to create habits.
Yes.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the goal is to create positive habits, changing behaviors. And so that now we could all now start to be debt free and start to kind of be able to have the ability to hand down wealth to
Correct.
your kids or your friends or your family or whoever it is so
Mhm.
that we can now just become better people. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I think that's what I find to be dope about what it is that you do. So with that said, if anybody needs a finance coach, please holla,
That's,
holla at my man right here. He not
no,
gonna plug himself, so I'm gonna plug him for. So I'm
no,
gonna plug him for him.
no, but you bring up a good point, right? Which is you can make a lot of money and a lot of followers by telling people what to invest. A blind
Hmm.
monkey, okay? A blind monkey could have thrown a dart at the Wall Street Journal last year and made money, okay?
Hmm.
Have you noticed how quiet it's been with the investing people lately?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
You don't hear from them as much anymore. You don't hear of them saying, yo, buy this, buy that. You don't hear that anymore. And let me tell you why. You see, what happened last year was a lot of people started investing for the first time. And they made so
Hmm.
much money because everything they bought went
That's
up,
love.
right? Everything
Hmm.
they went up, everything they bought went up. So you start to
Hmm.
suffer from what's called confirmation bias, right? You start to have the
Hmm.
confidence bias. Like you start to look for things that already build your confidence in what you're doing. And you
Hmm.
think that you're just never going to lose money. And then sometime in February, you started to lose money. All the tech
Hmm.
stocks that you bought started punching you right in the face. And
Hmm.
everybody got real quiet. And what they started to suffer from was what's called loss aversion, which is in behavior and behavioral finances. What that is that the loss of money hurts more than you gaining money. I'm going to say that again.
Hmm.
Loss aversion means that the effect that you have of losing money actually hurts more than the happiness you get with making money. So
Hmm.
all these people that started to lose money took the money right out the market because it
Hmm.
hurt. Because one day they turned on the TV and said, damn, I just lost 10 grand. What the hell is this? This ain't fun no more.
All right.
Right?
Hmm.
So I spend the reason why I don't talk about investments, the reason why I don't really go that route is specifically because I spend more time studying behavior than I do actual finance, right? The
Right.
reason why is because you're going to sit there and listen to me if I say buy this stock. But
Hmm.
when it comes to real wealth, what you realize is not just the investing part. Remember the three pillars I mentioned? That's
Of
just
course.
one.
Hmm.
You know what people did? They took the savings pillar and they funded the investment pillar. So what they did was they basically started to rewire their brain. I'll give you an example. There's a book that I read that said if you were to sit down and take someone who day traded, right, and put the nodes on their head and all this kind of stuff, and you were to look at their brain and you were to look at the dopamine that's actually going on in their brain at that time, right,
Hmm.
when there's
Yep.
trading and all this kind of stuff, and you were to compare that with someone who was addicted to crack cocaine, what you would realize is that the brain waves are exactly the same. People who day trade all day long, the people who sit there trading all day and are obsessed with the market, have the same brain activity as someone who's on cocaine. It's the dopamine that's firing,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the dope. So all these people think that the market was supposed to do what it did last year as if it's normal. That's when everybody was like, nah, you stupid if you don't know what you're doing. All of them are quiet now. So that's why I don't. Me personally, that's why I don't, because investing is very, very complicated. It's not just reading a chart, right? That's why I
Mm-hmm.
tell people just put your money in the ETF and call it a day, because you got shit to do, right? You don't got you're not going to sit there in front of the screen all day. Like you got kids, you got wives, you want to go on dates, you want to go to brunches, you want to go to happy hour, you got work. You don't got time for all this. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why me personally, that's why I don't. I can run circles around the people who do. Trust me when I tell you. But I don't, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to help minorities, yes, part of your money should go to investing. Part of it,
Mm-hmm.
not everything.
And you probably think, and you would probably know that, I guess, like when it comes to the investment part, it's like what you said, people pull money out of their savings and they throw it all into the market, hoping for, this big return. And some people may have bought, I may have gotten it, but
Yep.
for a lot of people, you took the money out from your savings, right? And then you put it into the market, and you don't really know what you're doing in the market, and then you stay too long, and then you come up with a loss.
Yep.
So now your savings is significantly cut short, if not depleted,
Yep.
and then that creates what?
Yeah.
Depression.
Yeah. So what they call that, right? What they call that is they call it regret aversion. That's another
Mm-hmm.
bias in finance. So regret aversion is when you hold on to a crappy stock that's losing you money, but you're holding on to it because you don't want to sell it because you're afraid of the regret you're going to feel if you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? This is why it's very hard to beat the market over time. I have been like me and Terrence talked about this before. I've been investing for close to 15 years. I've seen all of this before, right? I was there during the 2008 recession where, people were losing all their money. I saw what
Mm-hmm.
happened in 2000 with the tech bubble. I saw what happened with Bitcoin when it popped in 2017. I saw what happened with houses. Anything that's quick flips, like we have to, yeah, you could take advantage of it, but never lose sight of what the ultimate goal is, right? You have a lot of people who made money last year. God bless them. Okay, because last year I had to just stay quiet and say, you know what, have fun, right? But this year you don't hear people talking as much. You don't see it
Mm-hmm.
because now when the market starts to go sideways, people are like, yo, this makes me nervous. Because remember, last year you could have bought something one day and it went up the next day, and then sold
Mm-hmm.
it, and it would have been cool. I had people text me, people hit me on my DMs. One poor girl lost $10,000, 10 grand, and she was like, yo, I'm depressed. And the first question I asked her was, do you have a savings? If you don't like, so here's okay. The only investment advice that I've probably said on multiple videos, if you don't have 3 to 6 months of expenses at least saved up, you probably shouldn't be investing first, because it's going to hurt if something goes wrong that you have to sell your securities to fund it. I'm not saying that, like, if you do the 70-30 rule, fine, do it that way. But if you really want to get heavy into investing, make sure that you're protecting yourself so that if something were to go wrong, you don't have to sell your securities. I don't got to be right about the market tomorrow. I got to be right about the market 10 years from now. I like my chances.
Mm-hmm. Talk that talk, bro. I like that. Um, so when it comes to books, right?
Yeah.
You got a lot of books. Um, what are some of the books that if people want to kind of start to change their mindset with certain things with money, with finances, and stuff like that? What are some of the books that you would recommend?
First book is The Richest Man in Babylon by George Cleation. That's this book right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look how small this is. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
180 pages or something. I've bought this book for multiple people. It has no numbers. It has no formulas. It's written in story form. That book was written in the early 1900s, and it's still as powerful as it is. I read it every single year. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why if anybody's ever watched any of my videos or anything like that, I always end with a part of all that you earn is yours to keep. That's the book I get it from. So that's the one I would recommend. I have a few over here that I put. You have Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? That's just the classic that everybody
Classic.
knows. You have Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's this one over here. One that people don't know is The Wealthy Barber by Dave Chilton. That is a
Mm-hmm.
really good book. It's also written in story form, and it goes into more up-to-date topics than necessarily The Richest Man in Babylon does. But
Mm-hmm.
that's an excellent book on finance. And then I put another one here, A Random Walk Down Wall Street. For
Mm.
those of you who want to invest, for those of you who like to invest, that's the book that I would recommend that you guys buy, because
Mm-hmm.
it gives you an honest um, dialogue about investing. It tells the truth. That's one of the few books in all my studying of finance, right? MBA in finance, all this kind of crap. That's one of the few books that tell you the absolute truth about investing, which is this: you choosing stocks every single year, or you choosing stocks every single day or whatever, usually is not going to beat the market over the long term. So your best bet is to just probably index over time. But if I had to pick a book that I would give to somebody right now and say, please
Mm-hmm.
read this, is The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. By far, I read it. Like I said, I bought it for so many people at this point. That's the best one.
Got you. So Mel said the science of getting rich is good too.
I heard about that one. Yep. Yep.
Okay. So so let me ask you just about you as far as you being a finance coach and things like that. So how can some like if somebody wanted to approach you and said, hey man, how you a finance coach? Like how do you like how do people book you for that? How do people kind of work with you? Like what do they got to do?
I mean, just reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Hmm.
usually just, reach out to me in my DM or, I mean, that's probably the easiest way to do it is just say, hey, I have a question. A lot of time people just have questions, right?
Hmm.
What we try to do, at least from my perspective, is to try to give the game as much as I can so that you may not even need me. Again, Terrence is probably going to roll his eyes because that's not helping me. But that's the whole point of this, right? The whole point of it is to give the game away so that you can do it yourself. Have you noticed that everything we're talking about is simple?
Hmm. You know, it's funny. I roll my eyes at you sometimes, but I struggle with the same thing because this whole I created this whole thing to give this joint away for free, right? Like this whole thing that I'm doing is so I can get people on like yourself and people who have knowledge of what their fields are, whether that be employment, HR, recruiting,
Yeah.
mental health, like anything that it's to give it away for free. So as much as I roll my eyes at you, I struggle with the same thing because the community needs it. We need different resources, and we need people like you that are willing to give this joint away for free. But I will say, if you are going to work with somebody on a consistent basis,
Yeah, then you try.
bless,
Yeah.
bless them, pay like let's not get crazy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is what I'm saying. But tell them where they can find you as far as YouTube. I want people to follow you. I mean, you blowing up out here, but just tell them where they can find you.
No. So on YouTube, it's Debt Free Joel, the same handle as Instagram. Um, uh, I put a ton of information out there on Instagram in particular about finance, whether it be investing, whether it be savings, whether it be being charitable. Try to make it somewhat humorous sometimes because who wants to sit there and just talk about numbers all day long. But
Hmm.
that's the overall goal. On YouTube, I try to do some of the longer videos. Like I said, I give kudos to Terrence for this. This is all his fault. He randomly asked me one day to do a live, and we just sat there and argued for an hour. And we're like, well, you know what? We should do this again. So it just happened
And
that way. I
yeah,
think I think the most important thing about finance, in particular for everybody, and let's not lose sight of this, is that your mental health is as important as anything you're going to do in terms of your finances. So,
yep,
find someone who's going to hold you accountable. Find someone who's going to cheer you on. That's one of the things I try to do, at least on my page, is you try to hold people accountable. You try to cheer people on. You try to just say, look, man, we're all in the struggle together, especially as Black people. We need
hmm
to support each other doing that. So that's what I try to do. I try to give the game away. either on YouTube, on Instagram at Debt Free Joel. And like I said, the handle is real. Like I'm 100% debt free. I don't have one for Facebook yet, but I'll get one soon. But yeah, for now, like, at Debt Free Joel, if you ever have any questions as it pertains to finance, and my resume is pretty deep, so there's usually I can usually get you an answer on basically anything.
Mm. And that's definitely dope that you're like a resource for everybody. And I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Because not many people want to give this stuff away for free without saying, hey, I'll give you this nugget, but I'm gonna need XYZ back, right? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? A lot of people are in it to get money and things like that. But you're somebody who's very unselfish, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely say I appreciate you, bro. Give you flowers while you're still here, man, because that's super important. You don't have to do what you're doing. It's a lot of work. People think you get up and you just make YouTube videos and edit them and stuff like that. And it's a lot of work. Like people think they see me up here and it's like, oh, like you got the show and it's great and that's all you do. But no, after this, I got to do a bunch of editing. I got to sit down. I got to, you know what I mean, pump this stuff out, slice stuff, get it done, right? Like this stuff takes work. But if it can impact people, our people, anybody that's going to listen, then that's why we do it. And that's why you're so special. So I definitely appreciate you, bro. Thank you. You're my resident finance person. You my resident guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get Brit on here too. Probably, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? But you're my resident finance guy. You know what I'm saying? Because you are just that dope and just that amazing, bro. So again, appreciate you. Mel said your abundance will be returned to you since you have such a generous heart. I know. See, like, and that's 100% truth, bro.
Yeah.
So listen, bro, we gonna do it again as usual.
Yeah. Anytime.
Different topic. Oh, topic might be a little crazy next time. But we're gonna talk offline about that. Listen, bro, I appreciate you. Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Love always, bro.
No, absolutely. And like I said, if you guys take one thing from this, take two. One is a part of all that you earn is yours to keep. The second is don't be afraid to ask for help, whether mentally or emotionally or physically or financially. Period.
Period. And the one thing that I am glad about, is that people are seeing is that us men can get on here and talk about stuff like this.
Yep.
And that's something that really was important to me too. Was to provide a platform even for men to talk about finance, for men to talk about mental health, to talk about emotions and expression and vulnerability. That's why I wanted this to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because the women have led the way for a long time, and I salute to them always. But it's time for us. It's time for us to get in the game. It's time for us to really, take the baton and run with it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because these are the things that we need to talk about, and these are the things that we need to educate our people on. You know what I'm saying? So with leaders like yourself, you know what I'm saying, the world's in good hands with people like you, bro.
I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? So, listen, man. Salute to you, bro. Thank you, man.
Absolutely, man. Catch you on the other side.
You already know.
All right, brother. Be good.
All right, bro. Peace. That's a wrap. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Man, whew, it's always dope talking about finance. Tune in, man, next week. It's going to be episode 10. Stay tuned to what that subject is going to be about. But we always have an amazing time here talking about some critical things for our community. Listen, man, it's your boy T-Tail. I salute to y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. I will see y'all next week.